All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Mic check, good? I'm so sorry to interrupt all the conversation, but let's get the program started. I have no success. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, thank you. Hello. I'm so sorry to interrupt the conversations, but let's get going. My name is Michael Meth. Yes, it's not on? Oh, how about this? Do I need to go really up here? So 1 second, we're getting the mic set. All right, good afternoon, everyone. That works? Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me online? Perfect. My name is Michael Meth, and I'm the Dean of the Library here at SJSU. I'm also currently the Interim Dean of the College of Professional and Global Education, and I have the great pleasure to welcome you to the 2024 San Jose State University Annual Author and Artist Celebration, and this year with a special recognition event for inventors as well. It is an exciting day here at SJSU King Library as we celebrate and acknowledge the impressive work of SJSU faculty and staff across campus and their significant works that were published during the 2023 calendar year. Thank you to everyone who joined us in person today. Thank you also to everyone who's joining us online on the live stream. Before we begin today's festivities, I would like to read out our land acknowledgement. We recognize that while we are gathered at San Jose State University, we are on the ethno-historic tribal territory of the Thamian Ohlone, who are the direct ancestors of the lineages enrolled in the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and who are missionized into missions Santa Clara, San Jose, and Dolores. The land on which San Jose State University is established was and continues to be of significance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. We also recognize that the ancestors of the Muwekma Ohlone constructed and maintained the 3 Bay Area missions. Our campus extends to surrounding areas that held a tupantak, a traditional roundhouse which were once located at the historic Lope Inigos, land grant Rancho Posalmi, Positas de las Animas, the Little Wells of Souls, and also Marcelo, Pio, and Cristobal's land grant Rancho Ulistac, which are places of celebration and religious ceremonies, as well as nearby ancestral heritage shell mounds that served as the tribe's traditional cemetery sites and territorial monuments. San Jose State University also desires to honor the military service of the Muwekma men and women who have honorably served overseas during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, and who are still serving in the United States Armed Forces today. The annual Author and Artist Celebration is a highly anticipated event every year for us, and it's actually one of my favorite events. It is a time of year when we get to celebrate the scholarly and creative output of our colleagues across the university, and this year is special because we're also recognizing inventors who submitted patent filings in 2023. And I just want to recognize how many of you we have in this room, in our overflow room, where there's also food and beverages, and then the many people online. This is really, really remarkable to see the support for each other and for coming out. The SJSU King Library is a proud partner of this celebration because we connect faculty, staff, and students with the research resources that underpin their scholarly success. As your library, we provide access to collections and research resources. We are connectors across the university, which leads to the building of community, sharing and dissemination of SJSU's collective scholarly output. The library is on this journey with you, and we are constantly evolving to meet your needs. I now have the pleasure of giving you a couple of updates on housekeeping just before we really get into the program, which is, first of all, while the overflow room is already open and there's food and beverage, please also stay after this official program and enjoy some food and drink. The closest emergency exits for in-person attendees are through the back door along the blue wall just outside of room 225, which is the one we're in, and 255, which is the one right across. Oh. Please follow the exit signs through the stairwells. For the honorees, you will be receiving your certificates, or you have already received them at check-in. Or if you're not here today, they will be mailed to you, especially if you're attending virtually or you can't make it. When we do get to the deans, we will be listing your names and your works, but you don't need to come up to the podium when your name is read. So maybe if you just want to stand so we can recognize you if you're able and willing, that would be fantastic. And please also don't forget to mark this celebration with a selfie with your dean or any other person in the room. We have this wonderful wall over there. All of us are dressed up really nice. We do this only a couple of times a year, so take advantage of it. Please, if you want to, tag any pictures in social media at SJSU Library, so SJSU Library, and that way you can make it into our feed. So with that being said, and without further ado, we're going to get the festivities started. But I'd like to invite Vice President for Research and Innovation, Mohammed Abu Salim, to the podium. And I'd like to also recognize, as Mohammed is coming up, that we have had a wonderful partnership, and this will unfortunately be the last time we're doing this in this context, because Mohammed has recently accepted a role at Claremont Colleges, where he will soon begin his tenure as president of the Keck Graduate Institute. So congratulations, Mohammed, on that. And here you go, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate your kind words. Good afternoon, everyone. What a great week we're having at San Jose State University. The second annual SJSU Research Week is buzzing with activity, engagement, and celebration. This event is for sure one of my favorite events in the week, as we get to recognize and celebrate our scholars from across campus. Your art and writings are a testament to the quality of research and creative activity we have here at San Jose State. More importantly, your work product demonstrates the quality and value of the education our students are getting and receiving here at San Jose State. This year's event is extra special, at least for me. We get to also recognize our inventors with the birth of the Division of Research and Innovation 5 years ago. We started building the infrastructure to support faculty and student researchers with the management and commercialization of their intellectual property. Today, we have more than 15 patents filed in so many different disciplines, and more are coming down the pike. We are also building up the support for other forms of intellectual property, including copyrights. All this is to say, we have been at work delivering to our Transformation 2030 goals of excel and lead and connect and contribute. We're doing this through both the research side of the house and the Office of Innovation. I am honored to be here today recognizing our Spartan inventors for the very first time, and looking forward to making this recognition a permanent feature of this annual event. This celebration today is about you, our researchers, creators, artists, and inventors, our scholars. Your work is indicative of the growth we are experiencing in SJSU Research and Innovation Enterprise. Over the past 5 years, San Jose State research activity grew by more than 88% as measured by expenditures. And our campus innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem became more than 1,000 students partners strong through the many exciting startup programs over the past 2 years alone. We should all be proud of our institutional growth, but today is all about you and celebrating you, the stars of this amazing university. Thank you for all the great work that you do, and congratulations. And now I'd like to invite our Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Vincent Del Casino, for some welcoming remarks.
Thanks, Mohammed. How's everybody doing? All right, excellent. They prepared me some remarks. I should probably use them. I love this event. I love what this is about. This is one of the main things that drew me to San Jose State 5 years ago now, was that intersection of what is, I think, at the heart of the mission of the California State University, which is to educate amazing students and to be an engine of creativity and activity in general for the Valley and for the state and for the world. So it's really exciting to be here, and I'm excited to have our second annual panel conversation today. I want to start by thanking all those who are involved in the planning of the event. It's been a big week, research week in our second year as well. It's crossing all parts of the campus of the Office of Research and Innovation, the Division of Research and Innovation, the library. Some folks from the Office of the Provost have all chipped in. Some amazing folks here as well, making sure the technicals are working and that the light is just right to make me look just the right, so everyone could see me on the camera somewhere. Hi, everybody at home. Okay. What you really see here, which to me, again, we're in the middle of retention, tenure, and promotion. I'm reading all these amazing files, and I think I've now either authorized the hires of or reviewed. I think I've reviewed about 300 or 400 faculty in my time as provost, which is about half, and authorize the hires of another 300 or so faculty. And I could just tell you, I love reading the files and learning about the work and engaging. What I love about them is this sort of intersection of interdisciplinarity that rests at the heart. And through my podcast, The Accidental Geographer, what I find out why people love being here and why they stay here is because they're actually allowed to think beyond the boundaries of what you might find at some other institutions that'll go focus and narrow dig in this one way. And the faculty and the students that work with them and the staff that support all this energy really come with big questions and they're thinking across the boundaries of what's going on. So I love that part of this. And in fact, to that effect, that's why the panel is here today, and I'm going to call my colleagues up in a minute here to talk with them for a few. But let's just say I'm excited to be here. I want to thank again everybody who's participated in all of this. And this is just one of the events, but it's nice to stop, pause, reflect on the amazing accomplishments of everybody and have a chance to have some conversation and drink a glass of wine if you're not going to do a panel talk. So I only had water. Right. So you always drink gin and vodka during the day anyway, right? So, okay, I didn't say that out loud, did I? With that, I want to invite Ben and Jason and Elizabeth to the area up here where we get to sit in these fancy chairs and have a conversation. So why don't you come on up? Right, that's what I was supposed to do next, right? I followed the script correctly. Thank you very much. Awesome. Pick your spots. Oh, yes, applaud. That was very good. Do we have another mic? Do we have a second microphone? Oh, look, that's cool. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Okay, so of course my colleagues smartly asked, like, so what are we going to talk about? What are the questions? And I didn't respond to any of that, did I? No. So, because I don't know. I mean, no, in all seriousness, want to first ask everyone to really introduce themselves, tell everybody a little bit about your work, where you're located. But the conversation, over the next 20, 25 minutes, maybe a half an hour, is really to center around the question of creativity. Not creativity in that classic sense, but how we think about doing our work and why you got to the questions you're thinking about, what motivates you, and what kind of animates you as an intellectual, and what's exciting about doing that here. So why don't we start with some introductions, let you tell your own stories, because I could read off your CVs, but I think it's always better when you tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, department, location, what you're interested in, and then we'll jump into some questions if that sounds good. And you got the microphone, so you're forced to go first.
Okay, so my name is Ben Dunn. I'm in the Art and Art History Department. I teach mainly photography. So I actually started my career here at San Jose State as an undergrad almost 20 years ago. And I use photography in a very interesting way. I do experimental forms of photography using 19th century forms of photography just to dive into questions of history, place, and identity. So.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Scoverin, and I'm in the Department of Biological Sciences, and I'm a microbiologist. So I study this group of bacteria called methylotrophs, and they're really important for our global carbon cycle. But it was discovered a little bit ago that they do this really cool thing, which is use rare earth metals. And if you haven't heard of those before, they're in your cell phones and your computers and green energy technologies. And so we are working on creating a bacterial platform to recover rare earth metals back out of things you throw away, like your old electronics.
Hi, I'm Jason Alexander. I'm a professor of philosophy. You started with the hardest question,
Yes.
which is to introduce ourselves.
That's right. And it's a philosophical question, really, at the end of the day. Maybe not an existential one, although it could be.
Yeah. I'll keep it at, I study medieval philosophy, medieval and Renaissance philosophy. I work on the Divine Comedy. Having a philosopher work on a poet is a bit risque. It's outre, really out there. But that's what I primarily do. I also study a lot of Renaissance theologians and intersections of developments of natural science and philosophy and theology.
Awesome. Well, this is great, and already the thread that I think we can pull from across this is if this is a space where I think you can do a lot of this kind of work. Like, we're looking for people to think beyond the kind of traditional ways that we might ask questions or divide things. I love the fact that the risque thing in the room right now is a philosopher who's looking at poetry. So so that's really interesting. But maybe let me jump in and start with this question. Maybe Elizabeth, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in and ask you. You know, clearly biology as a discipline is often focused on the basic sciences, on these questions and certain methodologies, but you've gone into this space of trying to think about the application of that, what that means. So why did you get there, and what has motivated you to be there, and how do you think that's been enabled by being here and working with our students and others around?
Yeah, I sort of fell into it by accident. I've always studied genetics and metabolism, and but never really with the idea that there could be a really important application. But there's this discovery, like I mentioned, that these bacteria can use rare earth metals, and it just sparked this idea. Wow, I wonder if our bacteria could essentially eat like a computer hard drive magnet. So we ran around SJSU. I asked Justin Crawley in our IT department, do you have any old hard drives? And so we pulled all these hard drives, we started popping the magnets out, and they could. The bacteria could pull those metals out. And then we thought, well, what about like something really complex like a smartphone? And my graduate student had seen this YouTube series called Will It Blend? And which is just like what it sounds like. It's a blend tech blender, and you throw different things in and see if they will blend. So we bought one and we started pulverizing smartphones. And sure enough, these bacteria could grow using the smartphone as well. So that really sparked this idea of, yeah, this could be a reality. We could maybe develop an application which would be really great for our environment, because these critical metals that we all use, mining for them is incredibly environmentally destructive. We do very little of it in the United States, so we're really dependent on foreign nations. But why not just take them back out of what we, again, throw away? So.
Yeah, and in fact, that entire network of e-waste is a massive global kind of challenge there.
Yeah.
So, all right, now for the greatest segue in the history of a. I turned myself off. Jason, when you think about the sort of kind of question, the creative application, and to be serious, you know, why go into poetry, you know, philosophically? Like, what's the entry point for you, and why is that the place you ended up, and what's motivated you there, and what's come out the other end of sort of asking those questions?
It would take me a long time to think of an answer to that question.
Okay,
but
well,
why don't I start with this?
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you to the library staff for setting this event up. I'm so glad that we're back here doing this in person. It's so wonderful. And thank you to the organizing committee for putting it together. And they invited me to come do this. I thought, okay, you're going to invite me to come talk about creativity with an inventor and with Ben, whose work I've seen and encountered and engaged with. I mean, these are clear examples of creativity. Right now, you're asking me to think about what I do as a kind of creative activity, and I'll try and come back to the poetry thing in a minute. But I don't think about myself that way,
right,
very often. Right, that I think of myself as a researcher.
Your mic might not be working, so.
No, it's just my voice isn't working.
Oh, okay. There we go.
So, and then I thought, if you want an author on the panel to talk about creativity, then why not get, Keenan Norris? Why not get somebody who writes novels?
Sure.
And then I started to think, okay, well, there's an interesting case of this bias built into how we think about creativity from the very beginning as being the effort of an individual. And I started thinking about Ben's work, for instance, and the kind of way in which there's a creative engagement and reappropriation of prior art. And then I go, oh, well, that's what I do, right? I have this kind of engagement with the past, which sometimes I think of as really just fetishization of the past. All right, just like I can't help it, it's just kind of a compulsion. But that's where I engage as an individual author. And in terms of Divine Comedy, I mean, it would be a long story to tell because it's a biographical story, not just Dante's biography, but my own. But it just kind of comes down to I have an opportunity to think about whatever I want. Well, what better than the Divine Comedy? I mean, it's a book that's so full of complexities and puzzles that for 700 years it's been engaging, an entire global audience.
Yeah.
And many of the puzzles are philosophical. So I've got ready-made a set of tools that I can use to engage with that subject.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the comment on creativity because it is, I've long thought about in the context, if you don't know, my side gig is I spend time thinking about human-robot relations and what the future of the world is going to look like, including work and things like that. And I think what rests at the heart of it for the human capacity is that of creativity and that sort of way to smash things together in ways that robotic systems still might not think about it. And so I think creativity actually punctuates pretty much everything we do. But I really appreciate you thinking that through with us and highlighting that. Ben, I want to turn to you then in this conversation and get you to think about, again, as you pointed out, you kind of taken a different tact at the medium, photography, and how you've thought about that. What are you trying to do with that, and why? What sort of process brought you to go, hey, you know what? I want to think about photography in a different way. I want to push this in a particular direction.
Yeah, well, so a lot of my work is really focusing on 19th century photographic processes. So at least in my classroom, tried to get students to imagine a time if there was no photography at all. And for them, it's really hard. For all of us, it's really hard, right? Because we were born in an era of photography.
Until Elizabeth's bacteria eat all our smartphones,
Yes.
and then we won't be able to take photographs anymore.
It's all interconnected, It's but I want our students to really think about how photography almost intervene in their life, And I love telling the story about how my parents met through a photograph. It was my mom who made a picture of herself as she was a single, 16 years old woman in Vietnam, and my father saw the picture. And how that kind of brought them together. And of course, it all brings people together today. It's not an interesting story because, social media and dating apps and all is all based on photographic. But just getting back to the question of creativity and photography and thinking about as artists, because I work as an artist, it's basically the most human thing to do. It's like creativity is like a human invention in a way. It's something that I don't think it can ever be replaced by a machine. And that's what we do in our department.
That's awesome. So going back to Elizabeth real quick, if you think about it, right, and this question of creativity, 100%, let's throw this in the bin and see what happens kind of moment. I mean, nothing might have happened, right? And then the project's kind of over. Creativity sets at the heart of often the first sorts of questions we ask when we're scientists sitting in a room, right? We may not know what's going to work. We have a literature, we have a sense, and there's some possibility. We've certainly been trained in a particular way. But how often do we find ourselves sometimes breaking that mold, thinking in different ways? And how does creativity play into that? And even your conversations with people working in your labs and so forth.
Yeah, I feel like our field, the reason why I even got into my field, which I call bacterial genetics, is because it was the first time where I really got to explore creativity. You have to think about how does a cell function and what kinds of experiments are you going to come up with to figure that out? And when you see the data, what is that actually telling you? And so I just fell in love with that because it was just constantly solving these metabolic puzzles. And that's what I love to convey to students. And through their creativity as well, coming up with all these interesting ideas. It's so exciting. And I guess that's probably my favorite part about research. And then you get to discover something that nobody else in the world knows except for you in the moment, right? That's really exciting. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it's great. No, you absolutely answered the question. I think, too, what I think is so interesting, what I love about still being in higher education and the fact that basically I have never left higher education. Like I went into teaching and then I went into, as I like to tell my kids, I was in college for 11 years and that's why I can juggle. It's true that I did learn to juggle as a graduate student, but the interesting thing is the nature of the conversations that go on as well. I mean, even if you're doing your work, on poetry, you've done, Jason, some collaborative projects. You've co-edited with people. How important is it to be engaged with others, to think across disciplinary boundaries, either within your discipline or beyond them, in order to kind of generate your own creative process?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the co-edited book, right? Because there's, if we think about creativity as primarily an individual expression of one's own ideas, that edited book doesn't have a lot of that in that sense, right? I didn't write an essay that appears in that collection that's over there. My co-editors did, but I was too busy. So, because I was still an associate dean at the time.
Right.
But there's a lot of creativity that goes into the kind of orchestration of a project as well. There's a creativity that goes into helping others express their ideas and bringing that into a kind of bringing out that creativity, enabling that creativity to express itself. Right? There's a creativity that goes into that process as well. So there's more than one way in which that creativity can get expressed. And I know that that's going to be true for my co-panelists up here as well. In my case, it's just a little more explicit. In one case, I'm thinking of myself as trying to discover the truth about a poet, right? So that would be me putting on the hat, what does creativity mean for Dante? I don't think of myself as being creative in that moment,
Right.
even if I'm thinking about creativity. And ironically, if I'm trying to put together a co-edited volume, I probably have to exercise creativity in a way, that I might be more comfortable as recognizing as that.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a set of skills I'm using that not everybody has in terms of eliciting from others a cooperative effort.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest projects I've ever worked on are edited volumes. And in fact, I kind of stopped them because I'm like, this is way too much, especially when you get people from around the world trying to collaborate on things. But Ben, when you think about your work and about the sorts of collaborations that go into either with your students or with others, how does that kind of collaborative, interdisciplinary sorts of conversation kind of impact how you think about the work you're going to do, where you're going to go next, what techniques you might apply, and so forth?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think we tend to think about the artist as like a solo act, but actually, it's a lot of collaboration, especially these days when you have to actually collaborate with folks, like to publish a book or to have a show, as well as a lot of project will take a lot of people just to work on, to do something that's impossible that one person cannot do. So I think what comes with all this as people come together. And I think the word that comes with creativity, and it's also imagination. And I always find that creativity is really hard to teach, but I can teach students the skill set. And then with that, they use their imaginations to figure out what they want to work with and the things they want to make or things they want to pursue. It's like they see the stuff in their head and they just have to make it, right? And then if that requires collaboration, so be it. You kind of go down that route.
Yeah. So, and in science, I mean, the collaborative process is huge. Like you see these papers all the time. They're multiple authors, oftentimes multiple institutions. I mean, I think Jason hits on a really important point because that leadership to come together and do that sort of work, that's not insignificant. It's actually critically important. But Elizabeth, as you think about that, I mean, at one level, sometimes I imagine for all of us, it's like, can I just put my head down and do this? But, I know I need other people because I'm going to start to feed off of that. How does that play in your lab? I imagine you're bringing students in and others. How does that kind of play into your own process of thinking about a problem or a challenge in front of you?
Yeah, I think you can accomplish much more when you bring in other people that have different sets of expertise. So, of course, we collaborate with our students. I've collaborated with faculty on our campus, and I collaborate with a faculty member at UC Berkeley, Lawrence Livermore National Labs, because they have different expertise, right? I have my own set of expertise. And so if we pool that all together, then we can really go a lot further than we could alone.
And how does students play into some of the work you're doing as well?
Oh, they do all the work. So I'm sort
It's called teaching. That's right.
I feel like I'm really just the guide. So I'll help refine ideas, come up with some ideas, but they're the ones at the bench carrying out the experiments. That's not me anymore, right? So I might show them a technique or something like that, but they're doing it all. So they're extremely important to the work that we get done.
Did they let you use the blender?
I have not used the blender. I've filmed them using the blender. That's all them. They love the blender. We show that video in our intro bio series, and that gets students to be like, oh, I want to blend phones. Can I come work in your lab? Yeah.
We should put that right on the front page. This is where you come, heart of Silicon Valley. This is where you come to destroy technology. I love it. Well, this is an interesting kind of segue, because how you think about the educational process, and this is always a challenge, right? Of getting away from like a transmittal of knowledge to you need to figure this out, and actually in many ways fail forward. But it's hard in higher ed sometimes to let people fail forward. How do we think about that? How do we assess it? But I imagine, and I dabbled enough in photography when I was younger. I took classes where I actually had a dark room in my house where I only could do black and white. But it takes a lot of work to get to something. So how do you bring that into the teaching environment you have? How does that link back to your own research projects? And how do you share that sort of failing that you have with students so that they can go, oh, I learned from that moment?
Well, in making art, there's just a lot of failures, right? There's process failures, there's ideas that fail, but as that the saying go, but with every failure, you learn something from it. So I think that's usually where the moment's creativity happens, where the failure also becomes a success or the experimentation, and to develop almost like a new visual language, within the process of making art. So yeah, I think it's in since in art there's really like no rules. I imagine when you're working with science or philosophy, there's like guidelines you have to go, especially with science. But with art, it's like you can.
I think we found our first moment here.
Do anything, because you're not a scientist. You can use ideas of science or philosophies or theater. It's like it's Pandora box is open, and that's where experimentation happens, and that's where creativity happens, and also with failure. And the failure again is not high risk, I guess. It's failure as if there is something tied to a commercial application or something.
Fair enough. But I did see your colleagues like, oh, wait, I want to talk about that. So I think you should follow up on that. Or Jason, if you want to jump in on that comment.
Well, there's in terms of like a set of rules in science, no, not right. In fact, I love to just let students explore. So students will come and say they have think that they have to follow a protocol exactly. And there's a reason why it's probably written the way it is, but they want to know like, well, why do I have to do this? Well, let's leave it out and see what happens, right? Or I read this. I think, if I do this, then maybe this will improve it. Great, let's try that, right? It's okay to fail, and it's okay to explore. And again, if you want to know why you need to do something, just maybe you'll even discover a better way to do something, right? By not following your protocol.
Well, I think then, Jason, and maybe you could talk a little bit about this. One of the most interesting things, I think, and so I was at Long Beach State for 11 years. That's actually where I got assistant to associate to full. And I loved being there because I thought it was a really creative space, because the synergistic work between research and teaching was deeply valued. And so I was constantly bringing that in. Plus the flexibility to be able to go out and do things that you don't get to do in other places. But how does the sort of research process, the thinking, engage with all that? How does that synergy happen for you, as an educator, Jason?
Well, I've only been back in the classroom here for about a year. So a lot of my thinking about this is informed by teaching at a in a different context. Similar sort of student population, but a different curriculum. So at St. Xavier University, where I did a lot of teaching before I got on an administrative track, I had lots of nursing students taking my upper level philosophy courses to satisfy general education. And they frequently outperformed philosophy majors. And I know why. Because they worked harder. Because if I said, this is 50 pages, here's your reading guide, they'd read all 50 pages and they'd do the reading guide. And they didn't necessarily love it as much as the philosophy majors, but they were taught in some of these other courses that what it means for a nursing student to fail is that somebody might die. So there are, I think, some cases in which you can follow the rules, right? And, so I do think, one of the things I can share with my students is, the nice thing about this is if you get an answer to a question of what Aristotle thinks the soul is, you're not actually going to die. So go ahead, take a risk. But I also
Maybe emotionally.
Maybe, or maybe not. But I also want them to start with, if it seems uncomfortable, try and understand it before you just reject it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was like the main thing. I have that here, of course, too, working with students here.
Yeah.
But last semester, I got to teach my first master's level course. And that was awesome. And I said, what do you all want to do? I didn't even give them a syllabus. I had them help me think about what they wanted.
Right.
We talked about outcomes. I wanted to think about how to build a curriculum around outcomes. I had them help me think about the class. And at the end of the semester, they said they wanted me to teach 3 weeks on the Divine Comedy. And that was a course that was so much fun for all of us.
Right.
They would get to see me really stretching myself as a student, right? Because I'm engaging with the questions that animate me and that I don't know the answers to. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working on it.
Right. And I do think that is so valuable. So when you think about sort of, Elizabeth, for you, as we kind of wrap up this conversation, what are you working on now? Where are things going next? What are you going to put in the blender next, I guess, is the real question I have for you, Elizabeth.
Well, we're still working on our rare earth recycling platform, but really what we're trying to do is understand the biology that the organism is carrying out to do what it does, so that we can improve it and make it do what we want it to do even better, right, than what it does naturally. So we're still going down that road, but we're also designing really cool genetic tools. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about CRISPR-Cas9, and so we're developing all those systems for use in our organism too. So
I don't know if everybody's heard. You should explain it to people.
Well, CRISPR-Cas9 is a hot, newer genetic engineering tool where you can actually go into like even human cells and change one base of DNA to another, for example. So you can correct a lot of genetic diseases. But the exciting thing is that this system seems to work across all forms of life. And so you just have to tweak the system depending on what organism you're working with.
It sounds like the start of every zombie apocalypse movie
Yeah,
I've ever heard.
a lot
in my
of what
entire
we
life.
do sounds scary. But
No, it's awesome. How about you? Where are things going? What are you working on? And
Oh, well, so this weekend.
are you going to go to 17th century photography?
Oh, no. Well, there's no 17th century. There's chiaroscurs and philosophy of that stuff and Moti and, things like that. Of course, we just have the eclipse and you see that action happen with the sun projecting itself on the ground. Anyway, so I have a show at Rose Gallery in Santa Monica on this Saturday and be in conversation with the senior senior curator of photography at the Getty Museum. So.
I love this place. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
How about you, Jason? What's on the now you fully embedded yourself. You taught that grad class. Where are things going?
Well, Vin, thanks for the sabbatical I've got coming up in the fall.
Oh, you're welcome.
You signed the letter on that March 1st, so I'm looking forward to that. And I've got a book project I've been working on for about a decade. It's time to actually get that finished now that I have the time on it. And so that's my book, Engaging with the Divine Comedy. The rest of it is thinking about when I'm going to teach Divine Comedy here. That's going to require some creativity.
Yeah.
To figure out, how do we
well,
teach that? How do we cross-list that? How do we get departments to engage in that interdisciplinary instead of protecting their silos and their FTEs? How do we begin to kind of work across these disciplinary boundaries and be willing to share with each other? which
yeah.
is a challenge at every university. But
It is a challenge, but it really is at the intersection of those conversations where some of the most interesting stuff happens. So, well, I think we're, I'm getting the head nod that we're at time. I want to thank the panelists so much. Really appreciate it. Great conversation. Thanks for being here. This was awesome. So, there we go. Mike, I think it's over to you now. So you can all walk away. Here you go.
One more time, please, for our outstanding panel, and also provost and panel moderator Vincent Del Casino. That was outstanding. I love all the things that I've heard, and I'm so inspired, so I got to check out all your work. But I also want to encourage everyone who's here in person to connect with the works that are displayed on the tables on to my left and to most of your rights. This is everybody who we're honoring today has either their book, sometimes in physical, sometimes in e-format, and also many of the inventors have their inventions highlighted over there. All right, with that being said, let's get to this part of the program. This year, we have some outstanding numbers. We have 57 honorees and 60 works in total, which means we have a couple who maybe have published more than once in the year. And this is an amazing, amazing accomplishment and speaks to the creativity and output of our campus. What we're going to do is we're going to call up either deans or representatives of the colleges one by one. They will be reading, and as they're going to be reading behind us, we're going to be seeing the works. And again, for any authors and artists and inventors, as you're being recognized, if you'd like to stand, then we can maybe just recognize you this way. No need for you to come upstairs, up to the front. I'm already somewhere else. And we'll start the proceedings. So if you're ready, I would like to invite Director of the School of Global Innovation and Leadership, Theo Park, from the Lucas College and Graduate School of Business.
I'm very excited and pleased to be here on behalf of our Dean Pri Cannon to announce, recognize our four faculty's great scholarly achievement. We are asked to announce only a name and title of their scholarly achievement. So the first, the Dr. Joyce Oslin. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, she is not here. So she's in Seattle. And then she published volume 15 of her journal, Advances in Global Leadership. And also she published the fourth edition of her book, Management Across Cultures, Challenges, Strategies, and Skills. Okay. And then the second honoree, Dr. Sarika Prudi, she published, yeah. She's here, oh, here, okay, yeah. She published Global Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And then third honoree, the Dr. Ann Lawrence. Yeah. She published a 17th edition of her book, Business and Society, Stockholders, Ethics, Public Policy. And then the fourth honoree, Gretchen Lester. She's here, okay. She published Applied Organizational Behavior and Leadership Development and Identity Approach. Thank you. I'd like to invite Michael Meth back to the podium as she will be presenting on behalf for the Dean of College of Education Health Lettier.
Thank you so much, Theo. So, unfortunately, Dean Latimer can't be here today, but we are recognizing the work of Brent Ducor and Carrie Holmberg. And their work, and Carrie's right there. is co-authored, and it's called Feedback for Continuous Improvement in the Classroom, New Perspectives, Practices, and Possibilities. Congratulations. Next up, I'd like to invite the Dean of the College of Social Science, Anne-Marie Todd, to the podium. There you go.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm not supposed to go off script, so all I'll say is, in the College of Social Sciences, we write books and more. From African American Studies. Oh, and I'm celebrating 17 people from the college. I talk fast though, so don't worry. From African American Studies, we have Travis D. Boyce. Travis's book is titled Steady and Measured, Benner C. Turner, a Black College President in the Jim Crow South. And Carmen Estela Kennedy Sala, author, A Love Letter. From Anthropology, we have Jan English Lewick, Roberto Gonzalez, and Alan Leventhal. Co-developers of Reclamation, Resilience of the Muwekma Ohlone Tribe, an incredible exhibit that happened last spring. We also have from Anthropology, Marco Minichetti, author, The Longshore, Archaeologies and Social Histories of California's Maritime Cultural Landscapes. This is probably a good time to remind COS faculty that the Dean's Office and the Dean really appreciate copies of your book so that she can read them. Display them. From Chicano Studies, we have Rosanna Alvarez. Hi, author, Braided Unbelonging. And Rosanna Alvarez and Gregorio Mora Torres, who are editors of the early works of Luis Miguel Valdez in El Excentrico magazine, El Machete Critiques of American Society. And from Chicano Studies, although her office is in a different building these days, Magdalena Barrera, co-author of the Latinx Guide to Graduate School. From Communication Studies, we have Rona Hlualani, editor, The Handbook of Critical Intercultural Communication, 2nd edition, which also has several authors from San Jose State in there. From History, we have Alberto Garcia. Oh, yay, hi. Author, Abandoning Their Beloved Land, The Politics of Bracero Migration in Mexico. From Justice Studies, we have John Halushka. Author, Getting the Runaround, Formerly Incarcerated Men and the Bureaucratic Barriers to Reentry. And we have Gil Zamora, The Mindful Interview Method, Retrieving Cognitive Evidence. From Psychology and the Center for Community Learning and Leadership, I'm very excited to celebrate you. On Friday, we have Elena Claw and Andrea Tully. Woo! Editors, Reframing Community Engagement in Higher Education. From the Sociology and Interdisciplinary Social Sciences Department, we have Carrie Malloy, historian, Public Art as Resistance in San Jose, and that is with Catherine D. Harris and Elena Swazade from a different college, but we celebrate you as well. And finally, we have Scott Myers-Lipton, okay, author, Change, A Student Guide to Social Action. Can we give all of our COS authors and artists a round of applause? And now I'd like to invite the Dean of the College of Engineering, Cheryl Ehrman, to the podium.
Thank you. So again, also staying on script, but I just want to interject that we're super delighted in the College of Engineering to be honoring our inventors along with our artists and our authors. So first up is Naoki Matsumura. Practical Battery Design and Control. Right, and then next up after Naoki is Anand Ramasubramanian. And this is the first of our inventions we'd like to honor today, omnidirectional bubble trap with centrally immersed ports and closed reservoir. And we'll credit John Lee in a moment. All right, next up is Akdam Almanasir, device to measure early shrinkage, strain of concrete. Congratulations, Akdam. All right, and then next up after Akdam is a frequent flyer at these events, Chandra Volpapati, and he's the author. Great to see you. Artificial Intelligence and Advanced Analytics for Food Security. He is also the author of Proceedings, he's the editor of Proceedings of the Fourth International Conference on Communication, Computing, and Electronic System. And then he's the author of Data Science Inscription of the Iotirlingas, Volume 1, waiting for Volume 17 down the road. And then author of Specialty Crops for Climate Change Adaptation, Strategies for Enhanced Food Security by Using Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence. Thank you for all your contributions. All right, next up, from Ahmed from Electrical Engineering. Oh, okay. We can't skip Bin Lay. So from electrical engineering, we've got Bin Lay, inventor of synaptic array for field training capable in-memory computing using non-volatile memory technologies. All right, and then next up from industrial and systems engineering, another frequent flyer at these celebrations, Abbas Moalem. And this year, we're honoring him for his editorship of Human-Computer Interactions for Cybersecurity, Privacy, and Trust, the 5th International Conference. Thank you. All right, another frequent flyer, Ahmed Benafa, who is either here or talking to people on the news. And he is being credited this year for authorship of Introduction to Blockchain Technology, authorship of a book, Introduction to Internet of Things, and then also a book, Introduction to Quantum Computing. So thank you, Ahmed, for your contributions. All right, next up, one of our inventors. Lynn, I saw you stand up. Yeah. All right, so Lynn has filed a patent for a smart breast pump. So anybody who has nursed amongst us, including myself, grateful for any improvements in this area. Thank you. All right, and then John Lee, a co-inventor together with Anand on omnidirectional bubble trap with centrally immersed ports in closed reservoir. All right, and then last from the College of Engineering, Professor Mojtaba Sharifi, who is the inventor of lightweight, high torque, and cost-effective hip exoskeleton. Thank you. All right, so how about one more round for all the engineers? Yeah. All right, and now I would like to invite the Associate Dean for Student Success and Academic Programs for the College of Humanities and Arts, Rula Svoru, to the podium.
Thank you, Sherry. Good afternoon. And I'm really excited to be here and to honor all of our 17 also honorees today. So we'll start with the Department of Art and Art History. Artist Irene Carvajal had an art installation entitled Weight of Dreams in Artifact, Athens. Bin Dung, who you just heard from, he had a book published with an autobiographic book of photographs in a certain way called Bin Dung, The Enigma of Belonging. The third from Art and Art History is Joe Farb Hernandez, artist and author, who published the second book, Singular Spaces, From the Eccentric to the Extraordinary in Spanish Art Environments. From the Department of Design, we have Yoon Chun Han, Yoon created an AI-generated 3D animated video design entitled Plastic Landscape, The Reversible World, and also created an installation, San Jose SDL, at, I think, which is at the Institute of Contemporary Art in San Jose. From the Department of English and Comparative Literature, we are honoring Kathy Harris today for creating, and collaborating with Carrie Malloy and Alina Selzadeh to create the public art as resistance in San Jose and the walk tours. If you haven't done it, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. From the Department of Film and Theater, Andrea Beckert, a scenic designer for 3 plays, Fanny, the music and life of Fanny Lou Hammer, Steel Magnolias, and the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Also from the Department of Film and Theater, Sukanya Chakrabarti. She's the cultural dramaturg for Public Obscenities, and that is a theatrical performance that was performed in New York last spring. From the Department of Linguistics and Language Development, Scott Alkire authored Tips for Writing Well, Research-Based Principles. And David Malinowski, also from the department, who edited a volume called Spatializing Language Studies, Pedagogical Approaches in Linguistics Landscape. From the School of Music, Aaron Linkton. Aaron is a baritone saxophonist, and he produced, together with a collaborator from the other coast, Bicoastal Collective, Chapter 6. For that, he composed 3 particular pieces for that. The second honoree from the School of Music is Christopher Luna Mega, who is a composer of La Lluvia y la Sequía, Rain and Drought. And I hope you'll be able to listen to that wonderful work that they have. From the Department of Philosophy, we have first Jason Alexander, who edited Mystical Theology and Platonism in the Time of Cusanus, Essays in Honor of Donald F. Ducklow. The second honoree is Carlos Sanchez, who authored Mexican Philosophy for the 21st Century, Relajo, Zozobra, and Other Frameworks for Understanding Our World. And the third philosopher is Anand Vaida, who authored Epistemology of Modality and Philosophical Methodology. From the Department of World Languages and Literatures, we honor today Anne Fountain, Professor Emerita, who authored Indigenous America in the Spanish Language Classroom. And Avizia Long, who edited Study Abroad and the Second Language Acquisition of Sociolinguistic Variation in Spanish. The last honoree today is the director of the Thompson Gallery, Alina Sauzade, who worked with Kathy Harris and Carrie Malloy on what we mentioned earlier, the public art as a resistance in San Jose. Let's give a nice round of applause. Thank you and congratulations to all of you. Now I would like to bring back Mike, who is going to present the honorees for the College of Professional and Global Education.
Right. From the Applied Data Sciences program, Vishnu Pandiala is the editor of Intelligent Computing and Communication Proceedings of the 6th ICICC 2. I was going to say 2022, but it's 2022. So congratulations, Vishnu. Next, I'd like to invite Dean of the College of Science, Michael Kaufman, to the podium.
Well, it's really an honor to be here today representing Dean Kaufman. Come on, people. I just want to say before I announce the honorees here today that as you heard earlier, all of the faculty in the College of Science are exceptional at involving students in their research and the creative process. And I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to advertise a particular Research Week activity, which is our 19th annual 20th total year College of Science Student Research Day, which is going to be on Friday from 11 to 2 at Duncan Hall, and involves more than 300 students presenting their original research. So stop on by and be amazed. Okay, so let me get to our awardees here. So from the biological sciences, you already heard from her earlier today, Elizabeth Skovrin, who is the inventor of microbial platform for rare earth bioaccumulation. Next is Katie Wilkinson from the Department of Biological Sciences for her invention, combination treatment to prevent or minimize chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. Congratulations, Katie. Our third inventor from the College of Science is Laura Miller-Conrad from the Chemistry Department. Laura has 2 inventions on the list today. They are antibiotic adjuvants and applications thereof, and antibiotic adjuvants for gram-negative bacteria. Next is Mark Stamp from the Department of Computer Science. I don't know if I saw Mark here today, but let's give him an applause anyway. He is the author of Introduction to Machine Learning with Applications in Information Security, 2nd edition. And finally, from my home department, Physics and Astronomy, Dr. Chris Smallwood. In fact, I should have said doctor for everybody. I apologize. Who is co-author of Optical Multidimensional Coherent Spectroscopy. Congratulations to all of them. I'd now like to invite Interim Associate Vice President for University Marketing and Communications, Ken Masenchi, to the platform.
Thank you, and thanks for an opportunity to include University Marketing and Communications in this. We have our one honoree here today, Rhoda Jordan Shapiro, author of Magic Within. And now I'd like to invite Mohammed back to the stage for closing remarks.
Wow, what an amazing display of authors, artists, and inventors. And I really like the word inventors, and I'm very proud of all the inventors that I got really lucky and fortunate to be supporting your work through my great team at the Office of Innovation with Abby and Sandeep in the back. So congratulations to everyone and to all the authors and artists as well. And let's give them a round of applause. So I know that Provost del Casino was intending to close out the event, but he had to step out, so he asked me to do that on his behalf. So thank you to everyone in attendance, whether in person or online. Please check out the library's website to view all the 2023 honorees. The link and QR code is posted up on the screen for you to browse on your own. I'd like to take some time to thank the people who have made this event possible in no particular order, but it happens to be the Division of Research and Innovation first. It's not my script. Thank you to committee member Richard Mokarski and the Research Week team, including Emily Chan, Lauren Lee, and Rachel Grad, and all other partners that have made this week so successful. Thank you to SJSU Strategic Marketing and Communications, as well as the SJSU Special Events team for your support. Thank you to our campus partners from the Lucas College and Graduate School of Business, Connie L. Lurie College of Education, Charles W. Davidson College of Engineering, College of Humanities and the Arts, College of Health and Human Sciences, College of Professional and Global Education, College of Science, and College of Social Sciences for your generous contributions. Last but not least, would like to give a special shout out to the team who pulled this event together, Josephine Wynn from Media Services and his student assistant team, Ricardo, Harsh, Pratik, Harleen, Lynn, Harsh again, Pori, Nikunj, Kirat, Stephen, and Nanda. I hope I pronounced all these right. I'd also like to thank our main event team, Mariah Ramsauer, Leslie Seacrest, Anina Cheesegel, and additional library team members who have supported the event, Lisa Josephic, Melissa Chu, Patricia Rodriguez, Sarah Greer, Lixia Hu, Elena Cito, and Christine Holmes. Lastly, thank you to all of our honorees. Each book or significant work takes a lot of time, energy, and passion, and we are honored to be able to share that with all of you. Thank you and congratulations, and thanks to all our campus community for coming out today. SJSU King Library is here for you. We support faculty, students, staff, and our community. Have a great evening, and please join us for the reception in the room next door. Congratulations and thank you.